Hello, and welcome back to segment 3 of the GP Strategies Performance Consulting Team series on optimizing learning in the manufacturing environment. Today, we continue our conversation with our two esteemed colleagues, Deborah Boyley and Tina Mullen, who have been working with our client to identify common skill sets across manufacturing roles and to optimize learning for their employees. Deborah has over 30 years of experience in manufacturing industry and has been working as a performance analyst for our client for over the past 6 years. Tina has been a performance analyst for the client for the past 2 years and has served as a performance consultant for clients in a variety of industries, including manufacturing, across her 35-year career. I am Rocky Ellens. I am your host and your moderator for this series. Deborah and Tina have been and are working in partnership with one of the manufacturing clients that we have, and we have asked them to share the process that they employed, as well as insights they have gained for optimizing learning paths. Let me give you a brief overview of the past 2 sessions for our discussion on optimizing learning in the manufacturing environment. In session 1, we asked the question, why now? We examined the converging events that caused our client to take a hard look at their approach to learning for their manufacturing employees. We also discussed how they found commonality across the various roles within the business. In session 2, we heard about the learning model and a competency matrix approach that was employed to allow the clients to optimize learning for their employees. Deborah and Tina, welcome back.
Thanks, Rocky.
Deborah, let's start with you this time. Can you tell us a little more about the learning model?
Sure, Rocky. So the last time we were together, we reviewed the learning approach that we employed with our client and how the model set the stage for how that organization approaches training their employees from pre-hire all the way to retirement, the employee's career progression. Now, that might sound strange in this day and age, but as an organization, our client places a high value on their employees. They strive to offer a workplace and opportunities where their employees want to stay and progress within their careers. Using the phrase hire to retire is a deliberate gesture on our client's culture. The learning model is how we approach and execute the training. What is trained may vary, but how we execute it becomes consistent, helping to level set that expectation between the training and the operations teams. It helps to provide employees with a stable, consistent approach no matter where they are hired into the company or which production line that they might get assigned to. This is huge for any organization. On the surface, the learning model is how we approach and execute the training. So today we want to take a look behind that curtain and see the what, which lies behind each of these items. Tina will take you through the steps on how we leveraged our matrix tool to identify the right what, the set of training, building that right learning path for each job role. Some of it will sound familiar from our other sessions. However, we want to take you through the process, giving you a feel for how we engage our operations and our SME teams. As you know, without their full support, our work will just go right back on the shelf.
That sounds great. Thanks, Deborah. All right, Tina, you're up. I am ready to look to see what's behind the curtain.
Yay! As long as Monty Hall, is that the guy who did that show, or Drew Carey, as long as they're not behind the curtain, I think we're going to be just fine. Anyway, all right. So way back when in session 1, we explained how we began to catalog skills and knowledge for specific jobs for our clients' manufacturing teams when we started this work. Now, as you might guess, we've continued to catalog additional competency items as we evaluate more jobs across the organization. But, being a comprehensive list of the manufacturing skills and knowledge that apply at our client is simply just the start of what we're doing. The real benefit is that the tool helps us to achieve multiple outcomes. So how about if I take you through those outcomes while we preview the tool?
I am looking forward to this.
All right. All right, so before we start to work with the matrix, we partner with our operations and other subject matter expert partners to determine the career progression level for which we are going to complete the matrix. Now, we consider, is this for a pre-hire so we can effectively interview? Or are we really looking to determine job role readiness for that post-foundational training? Or are we looking to upskill employees? It's really important that we determine that first because it really sets the stage for the rest of the work that we're going to do. Now, because the tool is a catalog of skills and knowledge, it gives us an excellent starting point for the discussions about a job role, and it provides a common language for how we refer to them. We start the tool process by defining what a role does by selecting the skill and knowledge items that apply to the role. Again, remember, we have over 230 specific skill and knowledge items in the tool, and not every one of them applies to every role. You'll recall that we've also bundled the skills and knowledge into overarching competency groupings or buckets. Then we list the broad competencies. Now, allow me to divert just for a moment and go down a little bit of a side road. I'm sure you can imagine how each location or work group that we partner with feels that what or how their specific teams perform a job is absolutely unique and that they need their own custom set of courseware or even competency definitions for their employees. So in order for us to be able to account for these work team or location or other nuances, we specifically document them in columns to refine the item or to call out specific aspects or relations of the skill or knowledge.
That's a really smart consideration. I'm sure the members of the work group feel like they've been heard when it comes to acknowledging differences, no matter how subtly, when you've recorded it and documented it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Rocky. At the start of the work, we remind the teams frequently that we can account for all those unique aspects of the role. And just doing that alone really allies them to our overall process. All right, so let me get back on that main road again. From there, we have the team select an importance indicator for each of the competencies. And this is really important, right? Is it critical for the role? Is it moderately important, or is it low in importance for that role? And again, this is another item that really aligns the operational team to our process, because while a job might not require one to know how to perform a specific skill, an employee may need to be aware of it because of the implications for the actions that they're ultimately going to be taking. So at this point then, we're ready to roll up our sleeves to start determining how well an employee needs to perform or demonstrate the competency based on that career progression level that we have selected. And we have a range of definition selections on a scale of 1 through 8 that are designed to describe a competency from basic knowledge, a 1, all the way up to advanced or expert levels, up towards an 8. This is ultimately what will allow us to be able to complete the tool for the entire employee career cycle. Since we've already determined the career progression level that we're completing the tool for, we use that pretty much as our North Star, right? It's our guide point for determining the proficiency ratings. Now, this really takes quite a bit of time because even though we have baseline definitions listed for each proficiency rating, we have to account for all those nuances and other things that surfaced during the competency selection step. So it's essential for us to adjust the definitions here because these become the performance expectations of the role, and we constantly refer back to them as we continue through this process. So, after all the proficiency ratings are identified for the job and for that career level, we're ready to start taking a hard look at the current training that is in use. So just like we evaluated the proficiency for each competency for the individuals in the role, now we relate the proficiency of the course content and how or what level it helps us to attain for each competency. And this is another important step, right? We do all we can to avoid subjectivity. Oh, I just love this course, or it's so fun to deliver, or, we've always used this course, so let's just continue using it. And all the other prejudices that, might be in place in favor of the current courseware. So to be more objective, we leverage course content experts who help us to map specific courses to specific competencies, and they help to advise us in terms of the proficiency attainment level that the course will help us to achieve. So I think you can kind of guess where we're going with this part of the process.
Is this a test? This is making me feel uncomfortable. No, I believe you're going to next move into a comparison of performance expectations. Is that right?
Indeed, it is. It is. We then compare the proficiency level that we need our people to demonstrate to the level that a course or a combination of courses helps us to attain. When we match, when we say, hey, we need to get to a 4 and the course or combination of courses get us there, we are golden. We're ready to move on to the next competency. But if a course or a combination of courses delivers a proficiency that's more, like one level higher than what we need, we really have to evaluate whether the course, or one of them in the case of multiple courses, should really be an upskilling opportunity. Perhaps a less detailed course or fewer courses could be used. Again, this is when we are exceeding the proficiency expectation. So more is not always better, I guess, is a good way to put that. An example for when more would be better would be perhaps for things like the use of safety equipment or safety practices and things along those lines. But for the most part, we're really trying to hone in on that proficiency rating that we have determined that we need folks to attain. Now, of course, when the course or the combination of courses do not deliver the proficiency that we need our employees to be achieving, or, because this happens as well, if there's no course currently in use for that competency or to help us achieve that competency's proficiency, we obviously have a gap. And in this situation, we have to evaluate whether a course simply needs to be updated or maybe have additional content added, or perhaps a different course would be better suited for this competency. And of course, we also have to determine, maybe we need to just have a new course developed altogether. Now, in the case of new course development, we do engage with our client's curriculum development team. And the real beauty is part of their analysis work is already done because we have identified specifically the competency or group of competencies that need to be addressed. And we've defined the performance on them. So they have a little bit of a leg up in terms of the development. It gives them a really solid starting point for their part of the work. Okay, now we do also spend time determining if there are opportunities for additional in-classroom simulations or other demonstrations of skills. And of course, because you can only go so far in the classroom and can't train every item to the level that we might need or what someone would encounter, we do look to identify and outline on-the-job opportunities, as well as, are there structured, really well outlined and documented, structured on-the-job learning opportunities to help build the employee's confidence and capability. All right, so I think you can start to see how this process really aligns our operational and subject matter expert teams to the learning path. We know precisely what is needed and expected of an employee in a particular stage of a particular job role, and we hone in on those competencies. But the tool in the process helps us even more than that. We're able to identify and remove content not directly related to the job because we critically examined the current courses used and we determined whether they met the performance proficiency that was needed. We're also able to remove redundant content from the curriculum, but even better, the documentation that we create is helping us to identify courses that are used at various locations that are basically the same as other courses. This is providing information that's needed to establish an enterprise curriculum because the process is opening the door to having a constructive conversation to understand why a particular location or job has a unique course. We're able to show how the enterprise or how an enterprise set of courses can help to meet the proficiency performance expectations. So it kind of goes without saying that there's a tremendous expense in creating and then maintaining redundant courseware. And the process that we're using with our tool is helping us to address that. And for the most part, with our operational subject matter expert agreement and support. So, how about we talk a little bit about the benefits that we get after going through this deliberate process? The most obvious is that we have a fully optimized learning path for the job role at the career progression level that we were working to solve. We know what needs to be learned at that stage of the job progression. And, we put a bow on the package when we determine the overall delivery order and flow. And that's a clear benefit for the company and for the employees. And this is where I get to say, hey, but wait, there's more. Because as awesome as it is to have an optimized learning path, we have several additional wins for our client. First, because the customized proficiency definitions for the competencies are in place, everyone is speaking that same language, right, in terms of performance and expectations on the floor. And this is a tremendous step toward, or forward rather, for our operations teams, our training teams, and for employees. Those proficiency definitions enable a clear feedback loop for the learning outcomes for courses. Should we find a consistent issue with performance of a particular competency, we're better able to diagnose where and what the content or skill practice is lacking. It also allows operations to hone in on performance deficits, and it provides a means for the training teams to prescribe precisely the right course to address the need. Last, the proficiencies become the start point for the analysis of any updates or new course development that is identified as a gap. Evaluating course content against competency performance definitions ensures that unnecessary and redundant content is removed from the curriculum. And like we just talked about, accounting for nuances such as location, product, systems, and the like helps us to identify the specifics the specifics that are unique. Maybe one-off courses that need to be developed and the like, so that way we can establish an enterprise version that allows for those subtle variances. And the really best part is that the tool is not carved in stone. It's designed to be able to flex and meet the ever-changing needs of the production floor and to be able to quickly adapt to the introduction of new processes and technologies, as well as the sunsetting of other processes or technologies.
Wow, those are some really tremendous benefits. You ladies have been very busy and hard at work and doing this over the last couple years, actually, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Yes,
Who wouldn't
the
want
vast
those
majority,
outcomes?
Rocky, has been the last couple of years. Once we got Tina on board, we were able to start moving forward. It was great.
And you've done it across the broad range of manufacturing, not just targeted in one area. Who wouldn't want these outcomes?
Exactly. And all of these benefits that you see here are part of the reason why this process is being so well embraced at our client.
Well, there's still a lot more to talk about on this tool, Rocky, so maybe we need to adjourn until next time. I know that we're getting real close to the time to end today, and we really want to share what the tool is going to allow us to do in the near future. Now that we have already achieved a lot of data on multiple job roles, and we've optimized many learning paths, as you saw earlier, over 550. Are you up for one final session so we can talk about the future?
Are you kidding? I can't wait. All right, folks, I hope you're as excited as I am, but I want to say a thanks again to Tina and to Deborah, who have been leading this conversation and providing us their insights. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending these sessions, and be sure to stay tuned to session 4, where we continue our conversation with Deborah and Tina. In that session, we'll learn about the future possibilities of this matrix that they just presented and how it will continue to help the client optimize their learning for manufacturing job roles. Thank you.
Thanks, Rocky.
Have
Thanks,
a great
Rocky.
day.
Thanks,
Be
everyone.
safe.
Thanks, Tina.